Hello, and welcome to this video from HCCC Libraries. My name is Alexandra Plant. I am a librarian at the libraries. In this video, we are going to take a quick look at how you can find some different databases to use while you study in your class, or if you need to research for a paper or a project. Again, this is going to just be an introduction to our databases. I will show you how you can find databases, and I'll give you a little bit of tips and tricks for choosing a database to get started. If, however, you think that you need a little bit more direction, maybe a little bit more help deciding how to search, help coming up with a topic and trying to find some keywords, that may require you speaking a little bit closer with your professor, or you can always chat with a librarian when we're online. You'll notice up here in the upper right-hand corner, a little chat box opens up. You have the option of selecting chat now. If you're not interested, just click ask us and that window will go away. If at any time, however, you decide that you would like to chat with us, that box is always available for you to click back open. All right, now that we've got that started, let's go ahead and just generally talk about what a database is. So a database is something that you actually use every day. It is a place where there's a gathering of a lot of information, or known by another name, data. So for example, if you're somebody that spends time on the internet, you've probably used Google. Google is a database. It has gone through, and according to them, they've actually gone through and they've indexed the internet, right? And so that makes Google a database. Another database that you might be familiar with is the library catalog. So if you click onto this tab, right, it takes you directly into the library catalog. Library catalogs are another version of databases. But what you're probably thinking about is, what are those databases that my professor asks me, you need to get a couple of scholarly articles, you need to find a case study, I want you to look up this law ruling. Those are generally specific types of databases that you have access to through an academic library, like the library at HCCCC. So how can you get to the databases? There's a few ways to get to them, and so I'm going to give you some of the more popular routes to get to the databases so as not to overwhelm you. First and foremost, when you click this first tab, Search Articles in EBSCO, this is actually a little way to get into one of our most popular groups of databases, the EBSCO databases. In your career at HCCC, you will definitely use an EBSCO database at least once. So if you want just a quick start, you can put your cursor in here, put in a topic that you're interested in, and get started right away. My one caveat that I will add here is that you're just going to be looking in a particular group of databases, so you won't have access to like all of the databases that we have available at the library, but you will be looking in some of our biggest databases. So you should feel confident by putting in a search term here, you might get a couple of really good hits. Now, another way to get into our databases is through just going to database A to Z. This is just an alphabetical listing of all the databases that we have. We have about 130 databases currently that our students have access to. You'll notice that it starts at A and goes all the way to Z. The blue letters, right, are hyperlinked, which means that there's actually a database available. Whereas these gray letters, that means we actually just don't have a database that starts with that letter. No other reason than that. So again, this is really just an alphabetical listing of databases. So how can that be helpful? Well, we've done a couple of things to make it a little more helpful for you. You'll notice that there are these drop-down menus at the top. When you're on the All section, you'll notice that when you click in, we've arranged our databases and we've put them into different subjects. So if you have an idea of the paper that you're writing for is for a particular class, let's say that you are writing something in a culinary arts class, it might be a good idea to click on all subjects, and then we show you specifically the databases that we feel best represent topics that might be covered in a culinary arts course. Similarly, if you just take a little reset, You can look at all of our database types. So this is us putting together databases according to the type of database. So for example, biographies are a specific group of database. If you're just looking to get ebooks, we have a bunch of databases for that. Encyclopedias and dictionaries. Magazines, newspapers, places where you can find primary sources, streaming videos, etc. Vendors and providers, this gets a little bit more technical. If you happen to know the name of the database that you want to look at, maybe a professor or a librarian has told you in the past of a good database to get started, you can always come here and maybe find it. But of course, if you know the name of it, you could also just click, for example, on a letter, and maybe you look through here and you go, oh, let's see. It was Science Direct. Now I remember that's the database that I would like to use, and you can click into it. So again, this is our A to Z list. If you ever get stuck here and you need a little bit of inspiration, the helpful chat window will pop open and you can start a chat with a librarian right away. There, of course, is another way to get to databases, and we'll just take a look at that real quick in those last couple of minutes that we have together. Going back to the home page, you'll see research guides. A research guide is a guide that a librarian put together to encapsulate all of the necessary resources that a student might need to do a particular course or a topic. So you'll notice we have almost 100 guides listed here. These were all created by HCCC librarians, and they put a certain theme or focus. Some are general, like our biology guide, and others are a little bit more specific. For example, our citation and style guides. We also have Microsoft Office that is specific, as well as culinary arts, OER, a very popular one is psychology, as well as class specific. You'll notice over here with all of the different English research guides. So how would you use a research guide to find a database that would be helpful for you? Well, let's go ahead and put ourselves in the place of a student. Let's say that student is in a psychology course and they need to write a paper on a psychologist. You can scroll down, click onto the psychology guide, and then you'll see that we've arranged it to show you databases, print books, ebooks, journals and magazines, newspapers, websites that would be helpful. We always have citation help. And then if you want more information, a contact us button. So what are these databases right here? Well, these are the databases that we feel are most helpful for writing any kind of psychology paper or project. You have the DSM-5, Google Scholar, JSTOR, Nature, Science Direct. These are just a handful of databases, but they are somewhere where you can get started. And so those are the most popular ways to get to our databases. Like I said, if you're new to this, this might seem like a totally new concept to you and you might require additional information, which is why you should not feel at all like you're annoying a librarian or you feel intimidated by speaking to a librarian. This is what we do all day. We are more than happy to talk to students several times if you want to check in with us about proper databases to use, helpful hints, ways for searching for things, and we are always there for you online through the chat. Thanks so much. I hope that this was helpful, and we look forward to chatting with you soon.